This is literally such a cool way to customize your clothing, especially because you don't need any experience to use these things. And I'm here to share all the tips. They are really popular within the hand embroidery community, and pretty much every single embroidery artist now does offer some sort of stick and stitch patch pack, so they're really easy to find. People typically use them to stitch on clothing, on backpacks, tote bags. To be fair, you can pretty much stitch them onto anything you put a needle through, so. And I have to say, I haven't seen a video on YouTube that would talk about it in depth, so I thought I'm gonna pioneer this thing. So today I've decided I'm going to embroider one of my hats and a hoodie. So first of all, what is this thing made out of? What are those sticky things? This is one of my designs printed onto a sticky water-soluble fabric stabilizer. Yeah, literally it's just one product that you print your design onto. No magic involved whatsoever. And here are other supplies you may want to get for this type of project. We have an embroidery hoop, then we have embroidery thread. I'm going to go with one of my favorites. It's DMC Special Embroidery Thread, and this is the palette that I've chosen to use for it. Then we have some needles. I personally use Milliners needles, but embroidery needles are also okay to use. In fact, most people use them. I'm just weird like that, I guess. I don't really like them that much. Milliners are better. Oh, and another little thing that you may want to use is these sticky thimbles. They are literally the best. They're gonna save your fingers. Trust me on that one. And we're gonna want some water. Yes, we're gonna need water. More on that later. Oh, and one more thing. This is not a must for extra thick fabric like denim. Denim is very dense, but if you're embroidering on something thinner or stretchier like a hoodie or a t-shirt, this is where you're gonna want to pick up for better stability. It's called non-fusible iron-on interfacing. I'm going to use that on my hoodie just in a bit. So with this thing, all I have to do is just peel off the backing and stick this little guy where I want to stitch. The first thing I want to do is sort of fasten it to the fabric on the edges, because the sticky stuff is not actually super glue or anything like that, so it will want to come off and I don't want to deal with floppy edges while I stitch. So I'm just gonna run a simple stitch along the line and just fasten it to the place. I'm gonna undo those stitches at the end of the process, by the way. I picked my colors prior and I'm just gonna tackle one shape at a time until I'm done. And I'm using satin stitch. I kind of have a thing with satin stitch. We're best pals, so to speak. Check out my recent stuff up there and you'll see what I mean. But obviously you can use whatever type of stitches you like. There are hundreds of different kinds of them. Just YouTube it, you'll find them all. So the first tip that I have for you is to use short stitches. Long ones are going to go loose, and you do not want that. So whatever stitch you use, make sure you use shorter bits of it. Satin stitch is really satisfying to stitch, and I kind of just zone out to a podcast or a TV show in the background while I do it. I recommend it as a chillax time, monotone, it's repetitive, it clears the brain for me, so maybe I'll do that for you also. And once I'm done, there are two more steps to take. So this stick and stitch paper is water soluble, and the easiest way to get rid of it in my experience is to rinse it under a tap. Make sure your water is not too cold, not too warm. Gently rub off the sticky residue with your fingers and let it rinse until it's no longer sticky to the touch. And the last step is to dry it out. This one I found to be the most troublesome, so let me save you some frustration. First of all, let's get the excess water out of this thing. I recommend using paper towels and just press and squeeze out the water gently. Avoid messing with the design, with the stitches. We'll want to preserve those stitches the way that they are, especially if it is satin stitch. We don't want them going loose, we don't want to pull on any of them, so just be gentle. Make sure to squeeze out water as much as possible, because the next step is to air dry the whole thing. I highly recommend you do not use an iron to help drying process. Do not put it on the radiator or in the dryer or even in the direct sunlight. This will mess with your design more than you think. So put it away for the night and come back when it's fully dry. And while we're waiting on that, I'm going to show you how to repeat the whole process but on a hoodie. Hoodie is a stretchier fabric, not like denim, remember that. So I have some more tips for you in this part of the video. First of all, that iron-on interfacing I mentioned at the beginning, I highly recommend you use some of that if you're embroidering on a hoodie or any kind of stretchy fabric. I actually put a few sheets of this stuff into each stick and stitch patch pack I have available on my shop. That's how important it is to use it for the best results in my opinion. Tip number 2 I have for you is to pre-wash your fabric. It's no secret fabric shrinks, and if you ever plan to wash it afterwards, it'll be that much safer to do so. Plus, if it's a brand new piece of clothing, what are the chances that the dye will bleed? You really want to eliminate that risk, so do pre-wash your fabric. So the first thing to do after you've done that is to position your design where you want it. What I'm about to show you here is slightly more complicated than it needs to be, so I'm just gonna talk you through it as well as show you what I'm doing. So once you position your design where you want it to be, pin it to the front. I didn't actually have any proper pins, so I used just regular needles to pin it to where I want it to be. The next thing is to turn the hoodie inside out and find the exact place where that design is going to be sitting. This is where we want to put that backing, so directly opposite on the other side of the hoodie. So I can see exactly where those needles are placed, and based on what I can feel with my fingers, I can basically guess where I need to put that thing. We do want that backing to be covering the whole of the design. That's why I left a little bit of offset, so a little bit more on the edges, just to give myself that safe space there. So I've removed the front side, so the stick and stitch, and I'm going to leave the backing right there where it is and iron it on. So just press it for like 10 to 20 seconds. It doesn't need a lot of time, and it's just gonna get stuck in place for good. Once that's done, I'm gonna unpeel the backing of my stick and stitch and place my design directly on top of that backing. If it helps you, just feel it with your fingers, you'll know where to put it. And once it's stuck, we can put it in the hoop. And by the way, the reason why I don't stick it straight away to the front and then iron on the backing on the back is because if I do that, the heat will actually shrink our design on the front. So we don't want to do that. That's why we have to go into such lengths to prevent that from happening. I have to give a big shout out to Colorful Standard for sending me some goodies. I have another one to try right here. Let's do it. This is one of my favorite colors. Thank you again, Colorful Standard. And if you guys are looking for some awesome clothes, this brand is literally fantastic. I'm wearing large. These are oversized crew necks. I absolutely love this style. I'm gonna leave my affiliated link to their website in the description, so if you want to check it out, they have like a million of different colors of blank apparel. That's fantastic quality. Okay, back to the video. So once I'm done with stitching, it's once again time to wash off the stabilizer. We already know what to do there, so no need to repeat myself here. So just a few words on this backing that I used. This backing will actually provide a lot more days to the life of your design if you use it correctly. If you notice any clothing you purchase that has any kind of embroidery on it, there most likely will be some kind of backing on the inside of it. This is to provide stabilization for those stitches. This is exactly why it's a good idea to use it on clothing like hoodies and t-shirts. And if you're worried about the knots catching at the back of your design, or if you think it might irritate your skin, there are things that you can purchase to cover the design completely. There is special fabric stuff that's iron-on, made specifically for babies' clothing. I'll probably leave some links in the description for that kind of stuff. And in the next video, I will show you how to make these little things yourself. It's really easy to make and only requires a couple of tools. That video may already be up. I will link it up here if it is. If it's not, subscribe, I guess. Also, if you don't really want to make your own stick and stitch patches, you can finally make your way to the description of this video. I left some links to the packs that I sell, including the pack that has these two designs if you're interested. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time. Sir, do you have anything to say about stick and stitch? Do you like my hat? This one right here? Do you like it?